Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we got three little icon to text hover effects for you today. Got a little icon there, the first one when I hover over it. It's just going to fade in a little call to action module. Second one right here, it's going to spin in a little module. And the third one, it's going to drop down a little module like that. Really easy to do. There's no coding involved in this today. We're just doing it with the inbuilt features of the Divi theme itself. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the visual builder so we can build on the front end. Okay, once loaded, let's go down to where we want to work. I've got a section here, the blue tab. Inside that section, I've got a row with 3 columns in it. That's where my little icons are residing. I'm going to delete the row and we'll start from scratch. Okay, well, let's add a new row. I'm going to put 3 columns in because that's what we had before. And let's just pull it up to the top. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is add an icon, funny enough. So I'm going to roll down. Divi comes as standard with all these light grey modules here. Here's the little icon module. Let's choose a little icon, really doesn't matter too much. There's an awful lot to choose from. They've just teamed up with Font Awesome. So you can do a search here. You can just scroll through to get what you want. They've also got a little button here. You can break out into a breakout box, make it easier to scroll. I'm going to use that little question mark for mine today. Okay, well there it is, and I'm not going to style it. I'm not going to do anything with it. If you want to style it, you can go in there and change the color and the size and everything like that under the design tab here. But I'm going to leave mine just exactly like that. Okay, and when we hover over this icon, I want a little call to action module to appear, or a bit of text, and this will work with any module you want. I'm just using call to actions for mine today. So I'm going to add a call to action module. Move this over so you can see, and there it is. Again, I'm not going to do anything to this little module. I'm going to leave it exactly as it is there. I'm just going to change a few little features to create the hover effect. If you want to add a button, you may have noticed there's no button there. Just put a link in for a button. Once you put a link in, the actual button itself will show up down the bottom there. I'm going to leave mine just as it is at the moment. Like I say, you can use any module for this. Okay, so we've got our icon, we've got our module. What I'm going to do now is add a bit of padding to the top of this call to action module. Then I'm going to use some negative margin to slide it up on top of our icon module there. So let's do that. I'm going to go over to my design tab. I'm going to go to my spacing. I'm going to give it, let's say, 100 pixels on the top. Now I'm going to give it a negative margin. I'm just going to flip this down with a little arrow, so I got -1. I'm going to put a 50 on the end, so I got -150. And as you can see, it's jumped up over our icon there. Fantastic. And the reason I've put a bit of space up the top there is I'm going to make this fade out in a minute, but we want something that when we hover over the icon that's behind it here, we want to be able to trigger this module to appear. So that's what the extra space is there for. Great. Well, let's make the actual hover effect happen now. Still in the design tab, I'm going to close up the spacing. We're going to roll on down to filters just below. We're going to roll on down here. We're going to find one called opacity. Now if you roll up over the dark writing within these modules, and this is common to all Divi modules, you'll see some little icons appear. Go to the thing that you want to affect, in my case the opacity or transparency or see-throughness if you like. If it's got a little arrow, it has, we can click on it and set a desktop state when the mouse is not on it and a hover state when the mouse is on it, funnily enough. So when the mouse is not on it, I don't want to see anything but the icon. So I'm going to make our call to action here totally invisible by taking the opacity down to 0. So that's what we got. Then when they put their mouse over this icon, or actually the top padding of our invisible module that's still there, we want to bring it back. So on the hover state, I'm going to make that 100%. Now the time it takes to get from invisible to visible by default is 300 milliseconds, just under 1/3 of a second, which is pretty quick. If you want to slow it down or speed it up, simply go over to your Advanced tab. We can go down to Transitions. There's the default 300. I'm going to slow this down and make it a lot more graceful. Let's make it a second or 1,000 milliseconds. Just put in the 1,000, it'll put in the milliseconds for you. Don't want any delay, want it to happen as soon as they put their mouse over there. And the transition speed curve I'm going to use for all these effects today is ease in out. Now they're all slightly different, these effects. Some will work better in certain situations. That's usually my to-go-to for hover effects. Great. Well, we're not even going to check this one out on the front end. I'll continue on to the next one. So when we hover over that one, that's going to appear right there. Okay, well let's move on to the next one. Slightly different. Going to add a new module. Again, let's pop an icon in there. Again, I'll use that same question mark. And I'm going to leave that just like it is. And again, I'm going to use a call to action. And like I said earlier, you can use any module you want. I'm simply using these because they've got a background and it's very easy to set up. Okay, here's our second one. Now, what we want to happen with this one is we're not going to see anything at first again, apart from the icon. But when we hover over it, we want this thing to spin in. Now, to do that, we've got to do pretty much exactly the same as we did for the first one. So let's go over to our Design tab. I'm going to go to the spacing. I'm going to give it the extra padding on the top, 100 pixels. Obviously, you do what works for you. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing here. Again, I'm going to flip that negative and we'll put 150 on there. Great. Now this time, I'm going to go over to the Design tab where we are now. We'll close up spacing. We're going to go down to Transform. And the third tab along here is Transform Rotate. And we can rotate it on various different axes here. I'm going to use the first one. Let's just make this a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on down below there. Okay, I'm going to flip this upside down so that when they hover over it, it's going to fade in and flip back the right way. So this first axis here, I'm going to roll it minus 180 degrees, or basically 180 degrees the other way. And you can roll it like that, you can type in a value, and you can increment up and down with the little arrows. Great. Now we want to do the hover state again. So we need to go up, transform, hit the little arrow. Desktop, we're 180, upside down. When we hover over it, we want to bring it back to 0. And again, you can just type in the value if you want to. There's the 0. I actually hit it on the head there. That's fantastic. And I want it to actually fade as well when it does that. So we can go back up to our filters just above and do the opacity thing that we did before. There it is. There's our little arrow. Desktop, don't want to see it at all. Now I want to have it fading in to 100%. But because we're actually rotating this thing, the corners are going to spill outside and sort of hit the ones next door. I don't want to see anything outside of this column. So we need to turn off what they call the overflow there. Before we do that, let's get our timing, Advanced tab, Transitions, and I'm going to make mine a second. And again, ease in, ease out. Great. Well, let's turn off this overflow so we don't see those corners when they spill out when it rotates of our column here. To do that, we need to go into the row, green tab for the row. We're working on column number 2, or the middle one right here in the middle. I'm going to go into there. I'm going to go over to the Advanced tab. I'm going to go down to Visibility. There we've got horizontal and vertical overflow. I'm going to change both of those to hidden. That way when this rotates, I'll save my settings there. When it rotates, you won't see the corners spilling out there. Great. Well, that's our second one. Again, I'm not going to test it. We'll test them all right at the end here. Let's move on to the third one, which we're going to have sort of drop down and fade in. So again, I'm going to add an icon module. And there it is right there. Let's get my little question mark again. Great. And add whatever module it is you want to drop down. Again, I'll use that simple call to action. I'm going to go over to my design here. Let's just move this over and tighten it up. I'm going to go over to my design here. We'll go down to spacing. We'll add that padding on the top again for a trigger. And we'll scoot it up over that icon. Great, well this one we want to actually drop down and then have it disappear back up when they take their mouse off. So we're actually going to use sizing for this today. So if we close up spacing, sizing is just up above. I'm going to use height to do this today. And again, let's hover over. We'll pick up the little arrow right there. Desktop, well, I really don't want to see much of it at all. So let's make it perhaps 100 pixels tall. That'll work because it's going to fade in. Now when we hover over it, I want it to be its full height. So I'm actually going to put 100% in there. So 100%. As you can see, it's dropped down to its full height. And again, I just want to adjust the timing on this. So I'm going to go to my advanced, my transitions. 1000 milliseconds or a second. Ease in, ease out. I'm also going to give this a little bit of box shadow there. Just want to make sure in my spacing, I think we're on the hover state at the moment. So let's go to the spacing. Make sure. Yeah, desktop state. It's going to be short like that. Fantastic. So that's working. I'm going to add a bit of box shadow to all of these. Simply going to put that on there just to make it stand out even a little bit more. And let's do similar for the other ones here. Design, box shadow. Now because we've repositioned these, I can actually get into these easy. This is working, I'm able. Because we've put these on top of other modules, you may have a bit of trouble getting to them. You may get to the wrong one. If that's the case, go down to the little purple button here, click on it, go to the left hand side, little icon on the left there. It's for wireframe view. You can go in and you can get into the back end mode that way if you've overlapped things and can't get to the one you want. That's really handy. Once you're in there, you can flip back to desktop. Great. Well, we should be pretty much good to go here. So let's save the changes. Oh, I haven't made that invisible up there. Let's go back into this one, and I need to do the filter effect before I actually exit. So we'll go into the design, go down to the filter, go down to the opacity, hit the little arrow, and again, we don't want to see anything apart from the icon until they hover over it, and then we'll bring it back. Fantastic. Well, let's save our changes now and exit the visual builder. And once loaded, here we are. There's our first icon. When I hover over it, we should have a call to action fade in. There it is right there. Our second icon, we should have a little call to action spin in and fade on this one. And as you can see, as it's rotating there, the corners aren't being shown outside of our column because we turned the overflow off on that one. And our last one here should fade in and drop down there. And there it is. Like I say, really easy to do. No coding involved in these today at all. And nice visual effects to have on your site. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you have any questions, drop them down below. I'll do my best to answer them or make a little demo video for you. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.